Let's proceed to question number 11. Frequently asked question number 11. Why did you change your career path? Many a times it happens, we learn something, we do our bachelor's degree in something, then we look for a master's in something else, or we do a job in one career, and then we go ahead and change the career. Okay, it happens. Like in my case, I started with HR, graphic designing, moved to marketing, and then eventually I came back to training and coaching. Right. So it was a part of HR which I did not recognize back then. I didn't have the clarity back then. Right. If I knew back then that a part of HR is training and coaching, I would have probably focused more over there. Right. But then the career change happened and it's okay. But the point is, you should be aware that why did you make the change? So the best way of showing that you are aware and you're understanding you made a change for a certain reason is by sharing a story. Okay. Now that story could be anything that proves that you were looking for new challenges, you were looking for personal growth, or you were looking for a bigger impact or for the community, a bigger social impact, or maybe you felt that the skills that you developed, the personality that you became more aligned to the new career. Okay, like I'll give you my example. Now, whenever people ask me that how did I change? So my last jobs were related to marketing in the e-commerce industry, and from e-commerce I moved to training and coaching. And very often I'm asked this question: why this change? How did it even happen? And I tell them that earlier I used to take tuitions, and I also during my jobs got opportunities to train the employees. And when I was doing that, I actually realized that I love training and coaching. And then came an opportunity in my life where I could actually train people. I started training people for free just to see if I'm good at it, and I absolutely loved it. Right. So this is a mini story, and of course I can expand more upon it. But the point is that you can always share that moment when you realize that this is the career I want to be in. Or it could just be it was lockdown time, and I just came across a Facebook ad related to sales. I thought, let me enroll for it. I'm sitting idle as it is. And I absolutely loved what the coach or the mentor taught. In fact, I enrolled in this program and I realized that I'm really good at it. My personality has changed, the skills I've gained. I'm really passionate about sales, and that's why it only made sense for me to change my career. It has to be simple. You don't have to feel guilty for changing your career. Many a times, candidates feel really guilty. Oh God, I've made a career transition. What will I answer in the interview? Come on, this is your life. You don't have to go and prove to anyone whether you made a right decision or not. They're just trying to understand your reasons. They're just trying to understand whether you have the clarity in your life or not. Because if you don't have the clarity for your own life, you cannot have the clarity on the role. You are with yourself in so many years, right? So you need to know yourself well. You need to be clear about yourself. If you can't do it for yourself, then how will you do it when you join a team in their company? Okay. So you don't have to feel paranoid. You don't have to feel overwhelmed if you have transitioned your career. In fact, you should feel happy that you had the courage to leave something where you've spent quite a few years of your life and taken up something brand new. Okay. It's just that you have to mention what skills and what personality you became. Okay. And then, of course, you can end this answer by adding your 5-year plan. So why do I say to add the 5-year plan? Because then it shows extreme clarity that you're not just in this career for time pass. You really thought about it and you really want to be here. And the 5-year plan is just what we've discussed in the past. It's your 5-year goal. Where do you see yourself 5 years down the line? Or if you want to give a proper plan, you can go ahead and do that as well in a very short period of time, in 30 seconds time. You can go ahead and mention that I see myself doing this by the end of 3 years and doing this by the end of 5 years. So you're breaking your 5 years into 2 parts and explaining how you're going to jump the ladder. All right, I hope we are good so far. So with that, we've completed 11 questions. Okay. Moving to question number 12, what are your hobbies and interests? Okay, very interesting question. Again, try not to talk about those things which will not help them to understand whether you're a good fit for the role or not. So pick those interests which help them to understand that these interests of yours will help them in the job. Focus on those answers that show a positive quality that might directly or indirectly help you to achieve success at work. Now, whenever you're talking about interests, I would urge you to break it down into three parts. Okay, there are three types of interests. The first type is exercise and health. So you can talk about exercise and health related activities. So you can talk about any activity that helps you to be energetic, helps you to go ahead and manage your stress. Now, why will this help them? Because they know that whenever you're stressed at work, you have a way of dealing with stress. So, for example, for me personally, I love doing yoga and meditation, and that's my way of recharging myself and gaining my energy back and helping me manage my stress. Same way for you, it might be running, gymming, working out, whatever that might be. But it needs to be something where you have deep interest in. You can't just say, okay, I love working out. And when they ask you what type of workout, no, nothing, basic dance. Now, that is not workout. Then you have to say, I do dance, right? But pick that activity where you have knowledge in and which has really helped you. Don't be surface level. With your interview answers, you need to be somebody who has thought about the depth. Okay. The next type of interest you can mention is volunteering and community participation. So let's say you like coaching the underprivileged, or let's say you like doing the beach clean drives, or any other interest which basically shows that you like to help people. Okay, because it shows your character and it shows concern for somebody apart from yourself. It shows that you're not selfish. Yeah. And the third type of interest is something related to learning, your professional development, you continuing your education. Okay, like maybe reading books on so and so type, or maybe undergoing online classes, following certain YouTube channels and so and so content, or maybe even learning another language because that helps you to change your bent of mind. Yeah, so you can divide your interest into three parts: health, and then volunteering, and then professional development. And you can give one example of each. If you don't have an example for a particular category, you can let go of it and still give two, three interests. Okay. And again, I just want to say this, try not to give hobbies. While the question is hobbies, focus on interests. There's a difference. Hobbies are to pass time, interests are more serious. Hobby could be just dancing, interest could be being a classical dancer since 7 years. So you see the difference, right? Interest is something that you are very deeply involved in. Hobby is something like maybe doodling, or maybe sitting in front of Netflix and watching, let's say, Friends or Modern Family, right? So focus more on interests. Even if the question says hobbies, focus on interests and share those interests that help us to understand you as a person and that you've been following these things for years together. Okay. So with that, we are moving to the next question. Question number 13. Who is the most inspiring person in your life? And for this, remember, it's not the who, but why is this person important? So whenever you share that so-and-so person is an important part, follow it up by saying that why is he or she an important, inspiring person in your life. Okay. So personally, I would suggest to take role models. So this is actually a question of role models, right? Try to take a role model from your industry itself. Okay. So in this case, let's say you're working in sports, you can go ahead and talk about Sachin Tendulkar, that you like him. He's your inspiration, and then mention why. He has a humble upbringing, hard work, keeps himself rooted, humble, believes in hard work, humility, right? So this way, it helps people to understand these are the things you appreciate. Same way, this I don't recommend much talking about your family members. I always recommend talking about somebody from your industry, but prepare this as a backup as well. They can ask you somebody whom you know. Give me an example of an inspiration whom you know in your life. Sachin Tendulkar, you've not met, but somebody whom you know. So this should help you. This is your backup answer. So it could be somebody like some family member or some uncle, or somebody close, like a friend's relative, friend's parents, and then you can talk about the lesson you learned from them and how has that lesson helped you. In this case, my greatest inspiration is my dad. He's always taught me not to worry about my weakness, take advantage of my strengths, and that has made me a lot more confident during my difficult times. All right. So prepare both. Prepare one from your industry and second, somebody whom you know closely. Moving to question number 14. How do you handle stress and pressure? Very important question, asked pretty often. Sometimes they ask you, do you get stressed? So the answer remains the same. Okay, so the answer is that you focus on bringing it to the positive side. So you can say something like pressure is very important to me, and then you focus on good pressure. Okay, good pressure, such as having a lot of assignments, upcoming deadlines, it helps me to stay motivated and productive. Yes, there are times that there's too much pressure, which does lead to stress. But I feel I've become skilled at balancing projects and meeting deadlines, which prevents me from feeling stressed often. But if I still feel stressed, I go ahead and do these things. Okay. So you can go ahead and give some examples, like I probably do deep breathing, or I probably go ahead and take a walk in nature and so on. So I've given you a template for the beginning part. You don't have to copy paste it, but if you want, you can give a nice perspective that sometimes pressure also is good. But let's say if I'm not able to balance certain things, then I do meditation, or I go for a walk in the nature, or whatever you do. You have to speak the truth. Okay. Now this is an example. I had 3 large projects. So this is an example of a time when how did you handle stress and pressure? So I once had 3 large projects in the same week. I had a lot of pressure. But I'd created a schedule well in advance. I had broken down each project into smaller projects, into smaller assignments, and I could complete it ahead of time. And that prevented me from, taking the unnecessary stress. I respond to situations rather than to stress. Okay. So you can, if you have some nice line like this, you can use it. It's not necessary that you have to just plug in a line. It's just about sharing your best way of dealing with stress. Okay. So this is a continuation. That way the situation is handled. So I'll just read the last line again. I respond to situations rather than to stress. That way the situation is handled and it does not become stressful. And then you can give another example. So you don't have to give a lot of examples. This is just like you preparing. If you remember, we discussed storytelling, right? In storytelling, there were a lot of templates. You can just use any of the templates and prepare a bunch of these situations well in advance, so that they might probe you further. They can ask you any other time, okay, during college, during work, they can probe you anyway, right? So you should be prepared with 2-3 instances on these type of questions. Okay. So for example, when I deal with an unsatisfied customer, instead of feeling stressed, I focus on the task at hand, which is providing satisfaction to a customer. And then I believe my ability to communicate with customers helps me to reduce my own stress. When I believe in myself that, yes, I can do it, my own stress comes down. And then it reduces the stress of the customer, because the customer sees me a lot more confident, right? So this is how you tackle these questions. Moving to frequently asked question number 15. Describe a difficult work situation or project and how you overcame it. Now, please remember, whenever there are any situation-based questions, when they ask you to describe a situation, or they give you a hypothetical, situation, and then they ask you, what would you do? Go back to your storytelling templates, choose the right template, and go ahead and answer, because your storytelling templates that we've discussed are very structured. They help you to become a fantastic storyteller without having a storytelling background. All right. So moving to question 15, describe a difficult work situation. How did you overcome it? So the point is that you need to come across as somebody who is confident, who is capable of making big decisions, but in a calm and rational manner. You don't want to give any examples where you were really stressed out, you were burnt out, you were indecisive or uncertain. Okay. So you want to give answers which are positive. So even though it was a difficult decision to do this, I did so in an extremely professional manner. And this decision ultimately led to improvements in efficiency and productivity throughout XYZ team, XYZ company. Okay. So what we are doing here is we are sharing with the help of a storytelling template, we are sharing the incident and we are ending it on a positive note. Okay. You want to end it on a positive note. Next, frequently asked question number 16. I noticed a 2-year gap between your last 2 education, your last couple of jobs. What were you up to during that time? Okay. Now, this answer you don't want to over explain. You just want to keep it short, keep it simple. So instead of continuously sharing the reason, oh, this family problem, medical emergency, this, that, you can just say that due to personal reasons, I had to take a career break. But in this break, I focused a lot on so and so skills and I upgraded myself. So I'm ready to work now. And some of the common reasons I'll come to that. But for this answer, do not spend a lot of time sharing the personal incident, because then it looks like you're trying to get sympathy. All right. You're just going to keep it to due to some medical issues at home, due to some personal reasons, or due to some unforeseen circumstances, I had to leave my career. But I made it a time not to waste time, and I focused on upskilling myself, and I learned these things. Now the common reasons could be lamps. Okay, so for example, now you don't have to say these. I'm just giving you some common reasons that people share. So people go ahead and leave jobs when the distances are too long. It affects their family time, it affects their health, and they like to do some gigs. They sit at home and they take up freelance gigs. The other reason is that they are not able to grow professionally, so they just leave the job out of frustration. Another reason is that the company was not paying salaries on time, or they were not giving hike for a very long time, and the workload increased. And you can go ahead and mention that, but don't badmouth about the company. You can just say that it was getting difficult to manage my increased responsibilities, increased time at work with not the right compensation. And that's why I decided to start freelancing. That's why I left my job. Okay. Or it could be for personal reasons. You don't have to necessarily mention the personal reasons. The point is, you need to mention that you are crystal clear that even if these issues happen, I know my goals, and ensure that the goals you speak, they actually match with the company that you're interviewing for. You don't want to say my goals were I took a break to become a fitness enthusiast. That does not match with the goal of the company, right? Next is, if you left your job due to personal reasons, you can just say due to some pressing personal issues, I had to leave that job and focus on myself or my family. Another reason could be probably you got laid off. So access security, which means you got laid off. The company was experiencing some serious financial issues, and we had a round of layoffs. I was one of the few people to get laid off. It's absolutely fine. So these are some reasons that we see very often in interviews for why people have gaps. Okay. Moving on, if you were fired, you can also mention that the company and you had very different expectations. So layoff is different and being fired is different. Okay. So other reasons so let's say if you were fired, you can mention that why you were fired. Okay. It's okay to mention that you were fired. Sometimes it happens that what the company wanted from you and what was told to you were very different. But again, don't say the company gave false claims, this, that. You can just say that our expectations were not matching, and that's why I had to be fired. Okay. Other reasons could be you wanted to pursue further education, you were trying to start a business, a freelancing career, you were relocating, you had some health issues. So these are some examples of the reasons that people usually give. I am not telling you to pick one of these, but I feel if you have a gap, most of the times your reason will be somewhere in one of these slides. Okay. If the reason is something different, feel free to mention it without gaining any sort of sympathy. Just in a line, mention your reason and focus on what did you do in the gap. The goal is to focus on what did you do in the gap, not to focus on the gap, but mention about the skills you learned, the clarity you got in life, the fitness you got, the personality you got, the confidence you got. Mention different areas where you did really well, the different kind of courses you took, what achievements did you have, and so on. All right. Moving to question number 17. Okay, a very tricky question. I see your last name is so and you speak fluent so and so language. I did some volunteer work in your state. Is that where you come from? Okay. So they purposely do this. Are you a Punjabi? Are you a Sindhi? Okay, I had come to Mumbai, in fact. Are you from that area only? So why they're doing this is they're purposely trying to get very familiar with you, very friendly with you, to see how casual you get. Okay. So please, yes, you can go ahead, you can build the rapport, but don't be too easy, don't be too casual, be professional. So let's say most of the times, like when I'm having my meetings with prospects, like I go for meetings to convert them into clients, and they say, "Oh, you're a Punjabi." I say, "No, I'm not." Okay, I don't give any other details. I don't try to what do you call, be extra pally. Oh, no, 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 I'm actually a Sindhi. We come from here. What about you? Where are you from? Nothing. I just say, no, no, I'm not a Punjabi. Okay, then if they ask me, I'll say, yes, I'm a Sindhi. But I do not, I be very professional. I don't go ahead and ask them, what caste are you from? Which area do you live? Nothing. Okay, very to the point. You want to build the rapport, but on business lines. You don't want to know the person by asking them which house do you stay in, which area you stay in, what's your mother tongue. We don't want to know all that. We build rapport by asking work related questions, by being professional. Okay. The next question is question number 18, which is, are you willing to relocate? And sometimes this question is asked in a different way. If you were offered a position in so and so office, would you join because you live in so and so city? Okay. Or how far is your house from our this office? They can ask you in any way. Okay. So the answer ideally should be that you are willing to relocate. And when I say ideally, it should be like you really mean it. Okay. If you are in Surat and the office is in Chennai, and you are a fresher, ideally, as a fresher, you should be willing to relocate anywhere, because the first 2 years of your career are very crucial. First 2 years you'll need to be a little flexible and be willing to relocate and probably work longer hours. But then after that, you can take charge of your career. Okay. So but let's say even as a fresher, generally also you cannot what do you call, you cannot relocate, then please say no. Okay. It's not what you say, but how you say that matters. It's like, oh, Chennai, I can't come to Chennai. My house is very far. You can't say that. You can say something like, I'm really excited about this opportunity, but it would be difficult for me to relocate. One second. Yeah, it would be difficult for me to relocate due to personal reasons. Okay, I'm very excited about this opportunity, but due to personal reasons, it would be difficult for me to relocate. However, I would definitely consider relocating in the future. But in the meantime, right now, working remotely could be an option that I'm drawn to. Okay. So I didn't say, oh, my house is here, it's too far. I don't think my parents will agree, or I don't think it's going to be possible. I put it in a very nice way that due to personal reasons, it would be difficult for me to relocate, but I can look at it in the future. As of today, if you have an office in this city, I can work from there, or remotely could be another option that I'm drawn to. Okay. Now, if you say that, yes, you are willing to relocate, yes, here are some samples. Yes, I'm definitely willing to relocate for the right opportunity. And I believe that this position and this company is that opportunity for me. Okay. Or you could say something like, I'm really excited for this opportunity and I feel that I can provide great value in this role. I'm definitely open for relocation and I look forward to more details about this. Okay. So you can say it this way. Or you could say something like, I love the city. And I would love to continue my career here, but this position is really great. It's a great opportunity for my career. And if relocating is a part of that, I would definitely consider it. Now, look at the answer here. First two show confidence. Second one shows a little doubt. I would consider it. Third one says an outright no. Okay. So, first two are good when you want to show that yes, you're willing to relocate. This one is, let's say you need some more time to think about it. You can say something like this. And when you're 100% sure you can't relocate, you can say something like this. Right. The point is to be honest. You don't want to say yes. And then when you get an offer letter, turn it down, because it really spoils your image. Okay. And it wastes a lot of time, not just yours, even the other party's time. Okay. Moving to question number 19. How do you handle failure? So your response to this question can begin by giving a general summary of your approach, or what does failure mean to you. So you can, I'm sorry, you can always say that I've always lived by the maxim that nobody is perfect. So I'm relatively comfortable taking any sort of responsibility for my shortcomings. My approach is to figure out what I could change to avoid similar circumstances. I look to my friends, my family, my relatives, and ask suggestions on how I can improve. I'm pretty aggressive about taking workshops, trainings, seminars, and online tutorials to upgrade my skills. So here you're proving to them that, see, you're not putting it as failure is a bad thing. You're not putting it as something negative, because see, at work you are going to get the failure. What you are doing is you're explaining your meaning, your approach towards the topic. Okay. And then you're telling them how is it that you handle such situations. Okay. Here the situation, the way you are handling is through friends, through relatives, taking suggestions, and then also learning by yourselves, by yourself, by enrolling in workshops, training, seminars, and so on. Great. Moving to question number 20. What can you do better for us than the other candidates? Or the same question can be asked as, why should we choose you over the other candidate? Now, the thing here to remember is that never talk ill about the other candidates. You don't know how good they are. Probably they are better than you also. You don't know. And you don't want to be overconfident by saying that, I feel I'm the best at this. All you want to do is just talk about your qualities. Okay. You might say something like, I'm not familiar with the others who are interviewing, but I'm sure that there are lots of talented people that are applying for this position. So you're telling them, yes, it's highly a possibility that a lot of people, talented people, are applying. Okay. And then you talk about your qualities that help you to show that you are a great fit for the role. However, given my unique background and experiences, I think I would be a strong candidate for this position. All right. So you should be prepared to kind of talk about 4, 5, 6, 7 strengths. And these could be your past experience, your skills, your knowledge, your personal qualities that can help you to excel in the job. So when you share something like this, I'm not familiar with the others. I'm sure there are a lot of talented people applying, but given my unique background, I think I'm a strong candidate. I have worked in so and so company where I was given this responsibility. I've gained these skills and I have knowledge in this thing. And as a person, I'm very empathetic. I have the people skills, and I feel these are the qualities that will really help me to excel in this job. So this is how you share the answer. All right. So remember that what matters is your presentation, because you will be, you will sound convincing when you give your answers with examples in a short manner, not over elaborating. Or when you talk about your strengths, you talk about the kind of value you've brought in the past, in your group projects, in your internships, or in your volunteering work, right? So always go back to what you've done, so that they know that in the future they can expect the same thing. Describe the situations, the challenges, whatever kind of actions you took, and the results you got. So this, if you remember, we have spoken about this CAR template, challenge, action, result. If you remember in storytelling, so this is exactly what that is, CAR. Okay, you can just use the CAR template for this question.